Welcome to the second part of this video series in which I am sharing 10 tips for how you can protect your mental and emotional health if you are living with a narcissist during this lockdown period. So in video 1, I shared tips 1 through 3. So let's go ahead and get started with tip number 4. Use the gray rock method. So to the narcissist, you are not their spouse or their romantic partner. You are not their child or their sibling or their roommate. You are not someone whose needs or feelings or safety matters. You are their supply. And that is why, when possible, some make the decision to go no contact with a narcissist. But of course, in this circumstance, going no contact may not be a viable option. And so that is where the gray rock method comes in and can be really helpful. So the gray rock method involves responding rather than engaging, and neutralizing rather than escalating. When you employ the gray rock method, you are ceasing to present yourself as a good source of supply. You become as uninteresting as a gray rock. So if the narcissist tries to trigger a reaction from you, say for instance, accusing you of being overly concerned about the pandemic, you might respond with something like, "I understand that's how you feel," or "You might be right about that." And then you move on. You don't engage. If they persist and continue trying to trigger this reaction from you, you would set a firm boundary and not discuss it. So you might say, "I'm not having this discussion right now." And again, move on. Don't engage. And you might also reinforce that boundary by moving into another room, or if that's not possible or not something you choose to do, physically turning away from that person. As another example, say the narcissist refuses to abide by CDC guidance or local rules regarding lockdown, and they tell you that they are about to leave the house for a non-essential reason and then plan to return. You might respond with, "Okay," because again, what the narcissist wants from you is for you to engage. That is providing them with the supply that they want, which is that argument, which is you trying to explain your concerns or your feelings or your fears. They aren't concerned about your feelings or your fears, but that is something that excites them, that argument, that debate, that strife. And so you really want to neutralize the situation, simply respond with "okay," and then you would do what you can do to protect yourself and your household in spite of that person's actions, whether that means sanitizing surfaces or even wearing a face covering in your own home. As helpful as it can be, the gray rock method is actually a difficult tip for me to share with you. And that's because essentially I'm advising you to dim your light, when what I want more than anything is for you to shine brightly and to shimmer unapologetically. And I understand that that seems unfair, and quite frankly, it is unfair. But with this global pandemic, and if narcissistic abuse is present, then the top priority is your safety and your health, of course, and also self-preservation. Tip number 5 is emotional detachment and journaling. In a highly charged situation such as this, with someone who has a distorted sense of boundaries and when your emotions may be frazzled, emotional detachment is a protective measure that, when used purposefully, can help you to maintain your calm and to thrive in a situation that might normally get the best of you. So in this example, emotional detachment is a conscious decision to avoid emotional connections and to observe your emotions rather than express your emotions. If you do decide to practice emotional detachment, journaling can be a really great support by helping you to release those emotions rather than simply holding them in or suppressing them, because we really do not want to do that. So you would take just loose leaf paper, or if you have a journal that you don't mind tearing pages out of, and of course something to write with, and then set a timer for 20 minutes and just write. Write whatever you feel. Don't pick your pen up off of the paper. Don't censor yourself. Don't overthink it. Don't think at all. Just write whatever it is you feel. And when the time is up, you're going to actually take that paper and tear it up, shred it, throw it away. And then thank yourself for being open, for being vulnerable, for doing the work to take care of yourself. And you might also want to follow up journaling with repeating your affirmations, which we learned about in tip number 1, or with the 4-7-8 breathing technique that we talked about in tip number 2. Tip number 6 is the emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT and tapping. EFT is something really great to do if you experience fear, anxiety, stress, or any number of other difficult emotions. And basically what it involves is tuning into your breath, tuning into whatever you feel, which might be stress, and then rating the level of that stress. So from 0 to 10, 10 being the most difficult. And then you would take your fingertips and tap along 9 different meridian points that we have along our body, and you would repeat a statement. I'll try one here at the top of the head because there's a meridian point here. And you would say, although I feel stress in this moment, I choose to feel safe in my body. So it looks corny, but it really works. It really does work. And you'll notice once you've tapped through those 9 meridian points, you usually feel better, and you may realize that now my stress level has gone from an 8 to a 5, and then you would do the process again, and you'd say, now my stress level has gone from a 5 to a 2. So you do it that way. And so I won't go through what the emotional freedom technique is in this video, because I'm linking 2 videos in the description box that are really, really great, that I have watched myself, and they really dive deep into explaining exactly what EFT is. Tip number 7 is connect, connect, connect. Repeat after me. I choose to be and to feel connected at this time. Because we can. You can. You can choose to be and to feel connected during this time, rather than feel alone or feel isolated. You can pick up the phone or get on Zoom with a friend or a loved one. Maybe you want to vent about what you're experiencing just for a moment. Or maybe you want to just talk about something entirely different, something lighthearted and fun. You may also decide to schedule an appointment with a therapist. That's something that you can do, because a lot of therapists right now are doing their work over the phone or via Zoom. That's another option for you to stay connected. You could even join an online group or an online forum. You could jump onto your social media and share something that's engaging and uplifting and fun that gets people commenting, or go live on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Maybe call a loved one and check on someone who might really benefit from hearing your voice and just having you call them and telling them a silly joke or whatever the case may be. So at this time, everyone is getting really creative about ways that we can continue to connect and engage with each other. So definitely go for it. And I would love to know, how are you connecting with people at this time? Or if you haven't really been connecting, but you're thinking now, after listening to this really great tip, that connecting is something you are going to do, share in the comment section what that will be. Phone call, Zoom call, reach out to a therapist, call my granny and see how she's doing, or go live on Facebook. I love to know. Tip number 8, include children in building healthy habits. If you have children in the home, it's possible that they are experiencing their own difficult emotions. So get them involved. Create affirmations together. Go in the kitchen together and whip up a healthy snack. Just play together. Anything that's fun. And check in with them and encourage them to check in with their own emotions. And if they express any fear or anxiety or difficult emotions, you can show them the emotional freedom technique, or you can show them how to meditate, even if it's just for 60 seconds. You can also share the journaling technique with them. I think that children would actually really enjoy not just journaling for 20 minutes and that challenge of not lifting your pen. Maybe with a child, you would start with 5 minutes, but, and of course, this is for a child that can write. So you can challenge them to just express their emotions, don't lift your pen, let it all out, and then they might really feel empowered and really excited about taking all of those yucky emotions and just ripping up that paper and tossing it in the bin. This is really a great time to model for your children and teach your children how to process their emotions in a healthy way. Tip number 9 is to create your Choose Bliss Toolkit. When times are calm, it can be really easy to think of ways to process your emotions in a healthy way. But when you're actually in the midst of a difficult emotion, sometimes you lose sight of those very same steps and techniques. So the Choose Bliss Toolkit is one place where you can collect and store all of those tips and resources and reference them really easily. So you would just sit down yourself or sit your children down and list some of the things that you can think, do, or say to lift your spirits. And you would collect them all in this Choose Bliss Toolkit. Now, I have actually created a template just for you. And if you'd like to grab that, the link is in the description box below. Print it and store it somewhere that's really handy and convenient, or put it in a private place, but still someplace where you can get to it easily. I personally have taken a picture of mine and I keep that picture in the photo album on my phone. So wherever I am, it's there, and I'm always ready to choose bliss over some more difficult emotion. Tip number 10. Be present in this moment. So my final tip is for you to be fully aware of what you are experiencing and feeling in this moment. Because when you experience abuse, particularly narcissistic abuse, one of the coping mechanisms is to fantasize about what your relationship with this person could be. And so I would encourage you to take time and be present for what you actually feel and experience in this time. And you may even want to jot down a few notes, keep them in a safe place, because sometimes what also may happen is that when there is an upswing in the relationship, you may cling to that memory, even if it's not really the best representation of what generally happens in your relationship. And then when there are downswings, even if those downswings are really toxic, unhealthy phases in your relationship, you may tend to suppress those memories or forget about those memories, which makes sense, because who wants to remember toxicity and difficult feelings, right? And so if you choose to make notes of what you experience, what you feel, then you can always return to those notes and just have an accurate understanding, an accurate record of what you are experiencing. And I believe that if you choose to be present, and if you take advantage of the tips that I've shared in this video, that you will continue to move closer to a life and a love in which you thrive. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you found value in the tips that I've shared, please do let me know by liking this video. And if you want to continue to be supported as you reclaim your life and break free of narcissistic abuse and find healing, then remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications.